First of all, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and what a way to celebrate the day by bringing you guys 50 amazing Goon moments throughout fiction called the Goon Bowl. So here's how it's gonna go. I went in my archives, literally just thinking off the top of my head like, yo, what are 50 Goon moments that just come to my head instantly? I'm bringing them here today to talk about them. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, I will make sure to use this as either a subscriber special or a holiday special. Let me know which one you guys prefer. But anyways, these are 50 funny Goon moments throughout fiction. Thank you guys for the support as we've grown rapidly ever since we got the Goon series started. Jobber series first video drops tomorrow, so smash the like button for that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's get this video up to at least 500 likes, and without further ado, let's begin. So first moment I'm gonna speak on is grab the M60 moment from Punisher. So this was in Punisher Max, and it was a story where Punisher Max and the Max series in general is a lot more realistic, and so he's pinned down in Vietnam and they can't get out till the morning. And so he's like, yo, turn on the floodlights. Let's see what we're dealing with. And they turn it on and they instantly literally see waves of enemies. And everybody else basically melts down and like passes out, freaks out. Punisher just turns around and goes, someone grab me the M60, bitch. And gets to work. Like, just starts mowing them down with the M60. It was crazy. It was a Goon moment. For sure, one of the greatest moments in Punisher Max. Next, we have an iconic moment, one that always comes to mind. Just Superboy Prime fighting everyone in general. This, of course, is a reference to when he pulled up, did not like the way Superboy was repping the brand. They start brawling. When Superboy starts getting stomped out, he snitches because he's a hoe. And that's when a bunch of superhero teams, even villains, show up and try to run Superboy Prime's fade, and he starts beating everybody's ass. It is a glorious moment, and it had to make the list. Next one, I'm not sure if I've talked about it on this channel, but it's a hilarious Joker moment. And that is when Joker copyrighted Fish. So how he went about this was basically he used the Joker toxin to give all the fish the Joker smile, right? Then via force and threats and all that, gets a judge to basically sign off on the idea that those fish were now property of Joker and copyrighted by Joker because they were using his brand. So he actually copyrights them, and Batman has to like fight to get that overdone and thrown out. Oh my god, it was so stupid, but it was definitely something Joker would do in a classic Goon moment. Next, obviously one of the most iconic Goon moments ever, Luke Cage starting an international crisis over $200. So let me start off by saying I support Luke Cage and how he moved in this comic. Like, I would have been pissed too. Basically what happened was Dr. Doom's bots went to the hood and turned black. That was an issue. So Doom was like, Luke, I need you to go to the hood and get my bots back. Because it's the 70s and they said wild shit back then in Marvel. When he does that, Luke, he comes back. Doom shorted him on the check. So Luke takes a trip over to Latveria, helps a rebellion, fights through the forces, gets to Doom, fight to Doom until Doom gives him his $200. God tier writing. Next is another excerpt from Punisher Max, and it is the time Kingpin had to reclaim his cheeks. So I'm gonna be honest, this was a wild ass sequence. Kingpin, like I said, Max series is more grounded and more realistic. So Kingpin's not like his 616 self where he's just casually folding humans. So he gets rolled upon in the prison showers by a group of men, and they take his cheeks. He fights back, but there's too many. They take his cheeks. One of them makes the mistakes of comparing his tits to his wife's tits. So Kingpin finds out who not only his wife is and who his family is, but does it for everybody that was in the shower that night. So when he gets out of prison, his gang goes around and takes all their cheeks and all their families' cheeks, and then folds all the families. Oh my god, the get back meter on that was ridiculous, but getting his cheeks taken was still an L. So F in the chat for Kingpin's cheeks. Next, we have Yancey Street, of course, pulling up on Doombots and folding them. Actually, recently told this in my Yancey Street video, shameless plug, in the Goon series. And basically, when one of their homies got taken, they flipped out, pulled up on the ops, and even when they found out the ops were literally Doombots, they went ahead and kept fighting anyway. That shit did not matter. They were down to rep and die for the set. Next, we have the time Midnighter used a drill on an op. So this is also dark and is a darker version of Reclaiming... I wouldn't say darker, but same level of Reclaiming Cheeks. So before they came over to DC, the Stormwatch had, or Authority at the time, had a lot crazier writing because Garth Ennis was writing them. He writes crazy shit. And Apollo's cheeks get taken at some point. I believe he did get assaulted by this villain. So, so when Midnighter gets the drop on him, because you know Apollo's Midnighter's lover, Midnighter literally takes a jackhammer to him, and you know what he did with it. We're gonna leave it at that, but yeah, for sure a Goon moment. Oh my god. Next, the time the homie R2 had to pull up on a Star Destroyer for disrespecting the set. So if y'all didn't know, R2-D2 from Star Wars is one of the worst characters to beef with, because he's for sure gonna try to kill your bitch ass. So someone was messing with the gang, right? And he pulls up on the Star Destroyer, and when I say he literally, via manipulation of tech, his own devices and whatnot, and just being obviously a demon, he just kills dozens of stormtroopers. It was terrible. Yeah, you guys definitely need to hit the like button and comment down below for that R2 video. I will happily do an R2 Goon video. Next up, of course, we got to talk about one of the most iconic Goon moments in movie history, as not just fiction, and that's Han shot first. It's a hilarious meme. It actually became literally like a part of the concept in one of my D&Ds in Star Wars. But yes, Han, due to where he's from and how he carries himself as a scoundrel, he's for sure gonna shoot first if you put him in a sticky situation. No doubt about it. Han shot first. So the next one, honestly, I think this has to be on your list if you've read comics. Sentry making sure we all know Ares is a certified jobber. How did he do this? Well, you see, during a pretty wild conflict, Sentry, losing himself to the Void, of course, pulls up on Ares and literally tears him apart like paper mache. It was terrible. And what makes it worse is, fun fact, later on in, like, I think it was Conquest of Champions comics, Ares was in Valhalla and would go on to try and fight a alternate Sentry because he thought it was the same Sentry, and still lost. What an L. Moving on, we have the time Classic Strange boxed up basically a god. So this was an extra dimensional deity. So I believe this was Taboro. I might be wrong though, but this was a moment in which basically classic Doctor Strange pulled up on this massively powerful magic being, and he was like, yo, you're strong in magic, I'm strong in magic, shit's kinda lame if we just have a power battle. How about we throw hands instead? I'm not kidding, literally takes his cloak off and just starts throwing hands with this alien deity, and is beating his ass to the point that homie had to switch back to magic and cheat, and Strange still won. But yeah, Classic Strange was all about the Goon shit, and when he had the chance to box up an outer-versal being, he definitely took the opportunity. Next, we have the time that, you know, I think this is one of the most epic game Goon moments was when Baldur shows up and trolls the shit out of Kratos. So Baldur shows up looking like he just averaged a triple-double in heroin, right? And keep in mind, Kratos at this point, we all know he's a badass. Killed gods, all that. Like, ran shit on Olympus, all that good shit, right? And what's worse, his son's there. So he has even more motivation to be a problem to fight, right? Baldur doesn't care. Pulls up and just trolls Kratos and is like, yeah, you can't kill me, Goofy. Go ahead and do your best. And just pisses off Kratos and makes him try to do his best to kill him. It was hilarious. One of the best Goon intros in games ever. Next, the time, I think this is a slept on moment. The time Yoda thugged the guards. So essentially what happened was Yoda was on his way to fight Sidious, and he's pissed. Jedi have died throughout the galaxy due to the orders of Darth Sidious. So, of course, Yoda's out for revenge, right? He's scheming. And he walks in the Emperor's office. And to do so, he has to pass the 2 guards. The 2 guards, keep in mind, are like capable. They can't beat Vader, but they're capable of sparring with Vader. He one-shots them with literally a flick of the wrist. One of the most disrespectful things you'll ever see, and completely dismiss them, one-shotting them entirely, and is one of the best Goon moments in Star Wars, as we saw how strong, pissed off Yoda really is. Next, we have Indiana Jones choosing the strap. So this was a hilarious moment, and fun fact, when they filmed it, I believe the reason the scene ended up this way is because Harrison Ford actually wasn't feeling good, like he was sick on the set, and didn't feel like doing fancy shit, so he just shot the guy. But what happened was, he gets pulled up on by this dude, and this dude just shows he has 99 skill, right? And instead of engaging that with his whip and whatnot, Harrison Ford, aka Indiana Jones, pulls out the strap and just one-shots him, pops his bitch ass right there, and moves on. Like, literally doesn't even give time of day to fighting the guy. It's hilarious and one of the best moments ever. Next, we have the time, of course we got to talk about it. Y'all knew it was coming. Batman drop kicks the Spectre. First of all, they actually did used to hang out in the days, back in the day in like the 60s and shit, so y'all shouldn't be surprised Batman would try something this wild. But yeah, Batman drop kick the Spectre, and it produced one of the most out of context versus battle scans ever in the community. So we got to thank Batman's Goon moment for that, and Goon tendencies, because drop kicking the wrath of God and God's like vengeance is comedy. Next, we have the time Storm went to the hood and almost paid for it, literally. So Storm, coming from where she comes from, has a certain like air about her, right? Certain customs and traditions. So she's not used to what some Americans will do. She's not used to the streets of Marvel, New York, basically. She goes to the hood. This gang gets the drop on her, and they were literally about to shank her. Luke Cage had to show up and save her and be like, yo, these Marvel humans are completely different than what you're thinking they are. Don't be on some simp shit out here, or you will get fucked up. And she was like, damn, like, I didn't think they'd just try that. And Luke was like, yeah, they don't give a damn. So she had to learn the hard way and almost got stabbed for it. But yeah, shout out to those goons that tried to mug and stab Storm in a New York hood. Next up, we have Hiei threatening to shoot the tournament up. Now, this is personally just one of my favorite Hiei Goon moments. Takes place in the Dark Tournament, and it's at a point where the group's seeing kind of like the demons and all these people cheating and shit, and Hiei gets sick of it, and he goes, look, Yusuke, why don't we just kill everyone? And Yusuke's like, what? And he's like, bro, we could literally just solo the tournament. Fuck the tournament. Let's kill everyone. Whoever wants to smoke, they can get some. And Yusuke's like, chill. We're going to win the tournament. We're not doing all that. That's wild. But just the fact that Hiei was so confident they could pull that off was hilarious to me. Next, probably the biggest Goon moment in Naruto. Although, comment down below if you think there's a bigger one. When Madara ran the 1v everybody against the Shinobi Alliance. So Madara pops up, right? Squares up with the Shinobi Alliance, and he's like, all right, bitch. If y'all want the hands, you can get it. They charge each other, right? Him versus everybody. Tears through them. Melts them. Like, I'm talking about just folding people, hitting them with their own jutsus, matching dozens of fighters with just one jutsu. He shit on them. Made the Shinobi Alliance look like the stormtroopers of Naruto. It was fucked up. And one of the biggest Goon moments in the series for sure. Next, classic comic moment. The time Dr. Doom applied the Mortal Kombat finisher to Thanos when he was in God mode. So, of course, God, Emperor Doom, walking around, Thanos pops up. Thanos starts popping shit. Thanos is like, I've been a god too, bitch. I'm still a god. I'm the GOAT. Like, you're not really the GOAT. I'm the GOAT. It's disrespectful that you think, like, you would even control someone like me. And Dr. Doom's like, look, bro, that's a dope speech, but do you have the gauntlet, my boy? Because if not, what the fuck you trying to do? And Thanos was like, I don't need the gauntlet to handle you. And Doom goes, definitely do. And just tears his spine out. One-shots him. And it was one of the most disrespectful moments ever. And definitely had to make the list. Next, we got to take it to Dragon Ball Super. And this is a Jiren moment, who I've noticed several people are requesting Jiren as a Goon video. Hit the Cash App, 50 piece, and put Jiren in it if you want to see that video done, and I'll pop that video out in a Goon series. But anyways, getting back to this, Jiren gets put in a time cage, right? By one of the dopest characters in Dragon Ball being hit. That's objective. It's science, I promise. And puts him in a time cage, right? You're like, oh shit, he got hacked. He's in a time cage. He's done. Jiren, one of the goats of just flexing for no reason, starts walking through the time trap. And everyone's like, oh my god, it was so crazy, he started getting wank statements from the audience. They're like, he transcended, he's transcended, like, but he was just blatantly overpowering hit and walking through his shit. But yeah, it provided a wild ass Goon moment in Super. Next, I gotta bring it back to old school JoJo, and that is when Joseph Joestar pulled out the strap in the restaurant. So this is when he was just a teenager. Shows up to the restaurant and figures out he's about to get jumped, and it's actually from a vampire, right? But here's the thing. You don't catch Joseph Joestar slipping. That shit's not an option. So he's like, yo, bitch, I anticipated this. Pulls out a Tommy gun. Literally, the people around him are like, bro, you're a teenager. Where'd you get a Tommy gun? He's like, doesn't matter. Time to air it out. Starts letting it fly. Oh my god. It was pure comedy in a straight up Goon moment. Next is the time Swiper ran up on Dora and endangered the life of Backpack. Now, this shit's funny because Backpack's sentient, right? So he pulls up on Dora, and, you know, they used to use the magical chant of Swiper no swiping. But this time, they just weren't fast enough, as my boy Swiper is an athlete. He snatches Backpack and says, haha, gotcha, bitch, and just flings it. Like, doesn't even steal it, just flings it. Like, that Backpack could give him access to anything he wants, but instead, he just yeeted it. Godly Goon moment. Next, this is one of my favorite Batman Goon moments. It was actually when he pops Dark Supergirl. So for context, Dark Supergirl was like this split off version of Supergirl with all her dark intentions and personality traits, right? And she had already mauled like Green Lantern. She had already mauled Flash. She was about to kill Martian Manhunter. And Batman pulls up on her and is like, yo, bitch, relax. And Dark Supergirl looks at him and she's like, I don't understand why everybody fears you. You're just a man. And as she tries to blitz him, all you see is Supergirl go, he's not just a man. He's Batman. And you see this like flash of light and Dark Supergirl's down. And then Superman and Wonder Woman show up because of Batman and jump her. So yeah, just him thugging Dark Supergirl at that moment was hilarious. Next, of course I had to throw a Lobo moment in here. One of the best ones is actually a modern one. And this is when Lobo decided to shoot up Imagination. Now, what makes this even more of a Goon moment was the fact that to do so, Lobo had to shoot up beings beyond the concept of death. Like, literally, they say during the massacre, death isn't even a concept here. How are you doing this? And Lobo's like, "'Cause I'm a goon, bitch," and lights them all up and shreds them to pieces with his gun. Next, this honestly, this a lot of these, but we'll just, in general, John Constantine thugging Swamp Thing. Sometimes it ends up with him literally cutting off Swamp Thing from the green, but literally Constantine will change your entire opinion on Swamp Thing because of how much he jobs to Constantine. And that's the Goon moment in itself for Constantine, just making a character that generally has a really good reception and power scaling, making him look like an absolute jobber whenever he's hanging out with you. That's Goon shit. Next, this comes from my favorite manga, Kingdom. This is the time when the prince took the throne, right? Because his brother he considers him a bastard because his mom was a hoe. His dad smashed her, produced basically a half-brother, right? And he's like, nah, he won't rule, I'll rule. And when they're running up on him, right, they're like, "Yo, Prince, you're fucked up." They're telling him all this shit he does, and he's just looking at him, and he goes, "Death." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "The sentence is death." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "You are being put to death for breathing the same air as me." And he literally orders their execution for daring to breathe in the same room as him. Godly moment. Next, this actually comes from the MCU. At first, it was going to be Hulk punching Surtur, but I actually changed it to my favorite Hulk Goon moment, and that was when he pedaled up, right, to the Avengers. They're getting smacked, the Chitauri are invading. There's this massive Chitauri Leviathan ship coming, right? And Banner gets off, and Cap's like, "Yo, Hulk, it would be great if you got angry right now." And Banner looks back and goes, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." Turns around and one-shots the Leviathan. Just popping shit off in the best way possible in an epic Goon moment for the MCU. Next, this is the time that Batman ended up giving us another legendary meme. So this occurred when Reverse Flash, to his credit, because he's a goon himself, was beating the shit. Showed up in Doomsday Clock and was beating the shit out of Batman. And then eventually, Batman stabs his foot. Flash is involved. Flash is fighting Reverse Flash. Batman stabs Reverse Flash. And the reason this became a meme is because it said Flash versus Reverse Flash, who wins? And it said Batman. Facts. He does always manage to steal people's shine. But yeah, it was a pretty notorious Goon moment. Next, this is Rorschach. Now, Rorschach comes from Watchmen, and this moment, of course, is when he ends up going to prison. And upon entering prison, everybody in there immediately tests his gangster, right? Because he's by himself. And he ends up biting someone, like ripping their skin, pushing back, throwing something at someone. Gets wild, right? And as he's getting dragged away, he goes, "You guys don't understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me." And everybody was like, "Damn, I'm not gonna lie, that's a bar." And like no one really wanted to test him after that. The boy had to let them know who the real Goon was. Next, the only part of the movie Rogue One I liked, and this was an absolutely epic Darth Vader Goon moment. Of course, I'm referring to the hallway scene. So the rebels or whatever had stolen shit, right? Vader wanted his shit back and shows up on the ship. This led to a scene where everything's pitch black. The rebels are terrified, and all they see is Vader's lightsaber ignite, and he slowly massacres them all. It was glorious, and it's just the epitome of Darth Vader Goon shit, and I absolutely love the scene. Next, we have the time Hulk, War Hulk played. What's the best term for this? I would say he tried to turn Wolverine's brain into soup. So what he did, he showed up to the X-Men's house because he's pissed at everyone, rightfully so. And he goes, yo, tell Professor X to get his bitch ass outside. And they're like, yo, you don't roll up on our goat like that. Like, we're not going to let you do the boy like that. And he said, shut up, bitch. And they try to jump him. He starts beating up all the X-Men. And at one point, he's fighting Wolverine. And he says, yo, I know it's really hard to break adamantium, but I wonder what would happen if I slammed your brain around as hard as I could over and over. Would it turn to mush? And he was in the process of finding out the answer to that, and that shit was hilarious. Next, we have the time Kraven pulled up on Vulture because it was implied that Vulture scaled above Kraven. So what happened was Kraven was reading the paper. There was an alleged beef with Vulture and Spider-Man in which Vulture is basically insinuated to be the strongest rogue Spider-Man deals with. And Kraven's like, yo, Vulture ain't shit compared to me. Literally hops on the plane, goes over there, and beats the shit out of Vulture just to prove they do not scale to each other. It was a god tier Goon moment and made Kraven one of my favorite characters just reading that story alone. Next, we have to give more props to Hulk. Hulk does have some really good Goon moments. I gotta give it to him. This one comes to mind. The time he pulled up on Zeus. And not only did he pull up on Zeus, right? He pulled up on Zeus and said, yo, if you're really about that life,
throw hands, but like for real, like just throw fucking hands, dog. Stop throwing bolts and shit.
Like, he was just like, yo, you're gonna hacks me. You god types always hacks me. Just throw hands, like for real. And actually get Zeus for a little bit to throw hands with him. And it was a godly moment. Of course, Hulk gets BFR'd and whatnot, but the fact he pulled up on a god and was like, let's throw hands is Goon shit for sure. Alright, so the next couple moments actually come from one of my favorite comic runs of all time, Preacher. First one was the time Preacher gave us one of the godliest Goon bluffs ever. So he was about to fight this junkie vampire, right? Cassidy. And he's talking his shit. And because Cassidy has done wild stuff like sucking wieners for drugs, like he's off the deep end. And the vampire throws a punch. Jesse catches the punch, right? Which is crazy because obviously vampires are superhuman. And it had Cassidy shook. And Preacher was like, yeah, back up and get the fuck out of here. And he leaves. And then Preacher turns around and goes, yo, can you
take me to the hospital? I definitely just broke my fucking hand, dog.
And he like kept a straight face, just the thug Cassidy. So it was for sure a godly Goon moment. Next, one of the biggest goons in fiction himself has to show up right here. Cena Killers from Preacher. So Cena Killers originally was this old like Confederate time and age soldier, and ends up dying trying to get medicine for his family. And when he goes to hell, because he had a lot of bodies to his name, he was freezing hell as he was walking, just his human soul. The devil saw that, was like, damn, cut that shit out, and kidnapped Cena Killer, right? And he's torturing him, but he can't stop Cena Killers. Eventually, the Angel of Death gets the Cena Killers to agree to take his job. And as soon as he gets the job, Cena Killers turns around and shoots and kills the devil in his own realm. One of the most disrespectful things you'll ever see, and for sure a godly Goon moment. Next, the time Grandpa got his soul taken for a damn card game. If you don't know what I'm referencing, of course, one of the godliest shows ever in card games in general, Yugioh. So, as a child, you know, it seemed innocent to us. But when you grow up and realize what they were going through, that shit was crazy. So, basically, Yugioh, the premise was this kid's grandpa gets his soul taken. And the kid's gotta, like, win this card tournament to get his grandpa's soul back. That alone, just stealing someone's soul over a card game, Goon shit. Next, the time Juggernaut completely ate a God Blast. This was disrespectful. Now, if you don't know, check the forums. Thor fanboys think the God Blast solo is everything, right? Someone forgot to tell Juggernaut that. So he was beefing with Thor, and he was like, Thor, you always BFR me. Like, you're a bitch. Let's be honest. You don't straight up beat me in hands. You have to, like, be tricky. Thor's like, all right, fuck you, and uses the God Blast, his supreme blast, right? Juggernaut eats it. Not only eats it, starts walking him down. The only reason he didn't successfully walk down Thor was the ground broke beneath him. That's it. Besides that, he was eating that shit, which is a god tier Goon moment. Next, this is when Mace Windu really gave a big hit to the Boba or the Jango Fett reputation. Why? Because he sauced on him. So in the arena, you know, Jango and Mace clash. And we had already seen Jango in comics kill multiple Jedi. We had seen him go toe-to-toe earlier with Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi and do fine. Like, you know, styling, to be honest. Runs into Mace. Gun doesn't work. He's like, oh shit. Mace walks him down, beheads him, just folds him. It was so disrespectful to the character that had been built up to that point. It was a top tier Goon moment. Next, we're going to stay in Star Wars with this one. One of the godliest Goon moments ever in Star Wars. I don't care. Don't at me. Chewie, when he popped Kylo. So, think about it this way. Kylo's basically his nephew, right? But Chewie's on that gang shit forever. So, when his nephew stabbed his ride or die, Chewie's main homie, Han, stabs him and drops him, and he's standing there in his villain moment. That villain moment is promptly ruined by Chewie picking up the strap and airing his shit out. Literally shoots Kylo, almost bypasses his plot armor, and nearly kills him for daring to put hands on the homie. One of the best Goon moments ever in Star Wars. Next, let's go back to Yu Yu Hakusho. This is with my boy Kurama. Now, this is when bragging about your powers goes wrong. You see, older Toguro would brag about his regen. He's like, yo, I'll constantly regen forever. And so, Kurama's like, alright, bet, bitch. He's fighting him. And he traps him in this torture plant, this illusion plant. Basically what happens is, as long as you can regenerate, this thing will make you trip out and like basically die over and over again. It's horrible. It's straight up demonic and one of the dirtiest ways you could do your op, and Kurama did that shit. Next, we're gonna go back to my favorite manga, Kingdom, and talk about the legend killer himself. Not Randy Orton, but Hukin. So, or Hoken, however you say it. I think it's Hoken. But Hoken, essentially, he only wants smoke with anyone that has hands. If you don't have legit 5-star hands, you can fuck off. He doesn't care about you. And you have to give off Goon energy to even get his attention. And he pulled up in one of the biggest flexes ever, like wipes out a unit. Just folds him by himself looking for a dope ass fight. Just fading a unit by yourself and the way he did it is so Goon, and he's gonna get his own Goon video soon. But like, oh my god, that shit's ridiculous. Next, now I don't usually credit this character because I don't like the way she's written most times. Scarlet Witch, very inconsistent. Probably will be featured in the Jobber series, but we gotta give her flowers here. She dropped a bar that was hella worthy of Goon treatment. So basically she got sick of the shit, right? She got fed up. Obviously being a fucking superhero in Marvel New York is bullshit. It's a terrible job. I don't recommend it. And she gets tired, mentally strained through her journey to the point that she just eventually screams, no more mutants. Her dropping this bar literally gets rid of almost all the fucking mutants throughout the multiverse. Like, it was such an epic meltdown in Goon power flex that I had to put it on here. Next, this is often a moment we attribute to jobbing, of course, and I feel like we don't give it enough respect for the other side of the view. So, I'm talking about the time Wolverine got his bitch ass knocked out by a deer. Now, we always make fun of Wolverine for jobbing, but let me offer this. How about we celebrate that deer? You see, that deer is a goon for rocking Wolverine shit the way he did. And for that, shout out to you, deer. You haven't gotten enough credit for what you did, but you rocking his shit was hella goony, and we respect it. I just wanted to give that deer a shout out. Next, we have a Thing moment. Of course we gotta have a Thing moment. This was when he pulled up on the destroyer armor, but this is what makes it way funnier. So he's flying by with the crew, right? And he sees the destroyer armor. Not only does he see the destroyer armor, you know, the weapon from Asgard, it's being powered by Galactus. And Ben goes, yo, drop me off. And Reed's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, drop me off. It's time to handle my fate. And he gets dropped off. He beat the shit out of the destroyer armor until Galactus had to give up and stop using it. Goon shit. God tier Goon. Next, we have a Thanos moment. I haven't given him enough credit recently, but this Thanos moment was hilarious. So, in the future, of course, Thanos is a problem. He gets stronger with time, and he's starting to take over the multiverse. And even Galactus is tripping about it. In fact, Galactus goes around recruiting, trying to get stronger, and prepping to run into Thanos. Literally has generations to prep, right? Pulls up on Thanos. Gets his top blown off instantly. You hate to see it, but we saw that shit regardless. Top tier Goon moment from Thanos, one-shotting prep time Galactus. Next, we have Eisen proving he has the best crossover in the game. So, Soul King, Yugioh, whatever you want to call him, he's folding everybody, right? Like, he pulled up, he was a menace to society. We see him. The amount of hacks Yugioh has is absurd. Like, literally has hacks for days. And Eisen didn't give a fuck. When he pulled up on Eisen, Eisen was like, what's up, bitch? And actually was able to fool Yugioh, who can literally see every possible future. Such a god tier Goon moment from a fantastic villain in Eisen. Next, we have the time Bullseye caught Juggernaut slipping. Now, this was hilarious. Juggernaut, Bullseye were on the same team, basically like Dark Avenger shit. They get into it. They're arguing. And Bullseye, of course, he knows every perfect angle to take. Apparently, this includes uppercutting an op, right? Including someone with an infinite energy shield surrounding them. But whatever, it's comics. Bullseye gets sick of his shit and literally uppercuts Juggernaut out of the picture. And it was godly because that definitely should not happen. But pissed off, Bullseye was not having it and trolled him and rocked him with an uppercut. Next, of course, this Goon moment actually helped spawn one of the most fun games ever and an amazing alternate comic storyline. This, of course, is when Joker tricked Superman into killing his chick, trying to stop a bomb, and got Superman to kill him with this joke that he played, right? And this turned Superman into a dictator that spawned the Injustice storyline. And that Goon moment, making that a possibility alone, means it has to end up on my first list, for sure. Next, we have the time we saw that literally Yusuke Urameshi, and Yugioh was running his hood. That's impressive, right? But no, he was on some Yancey Street shit. Why? Because he ran his hood by middle school. So in middle school, Yusuke was already ready to give the fade to adults and win that shit. And he was doing that. He was the man in his hood. So that alone, shout out to my boy Yusuke. Goon video coming soon. But yeah, Yusuke's always been one of the goats of the goons. Last moment for the video. Thank you guys, everyone that's been here so far. And smash that like button if you haven't already. Sidious playing the victim. I don't know why this shit's so funny to me. But Sidious, of course, if you don't know, helped organize a galactic genocide on Jedi. He's a Dark Lord. He manipulates Anakin. All this shit, right? Mows down Jedi when they go to arrest him. Fights Mace. Starts losing. Actually was losing. Don't argue with me on that shit. He really did lose. And when Anakin walks in, homie switches. He's like, oh my god, I'm a victim. Like, he pulls the victim card so fast. And actually gets Anakin to save him with that shit. And it was... When I was a kid and I saw that, I was pissed because Mace was one of my favorite characters at the time. I was fucking heated. But it was a god tier Goon moment and showed how great of a villain Sidious is. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the Goon Bowl. I did shorten this from 100 to 50 because I was like, that's a lot of moments in one video. So I wanted to get you guys the Goon Bowl. And if you guys like this in the Goon series, like this style of video, I'll use it for special events like subscriber specials or holidays. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. Tell me some of your favorite moments in the comment section down below, and I will see y'all later. Peace.